Right, sorry, here, part two. Kind of lost it there. I mean, looking back to it, I mean, one of the key things I found about this interview is Piers is trying to solve racism because he's so high and almighty. Is there a qualitative difference? Is it this? For God's sake, he doesn't understand, it's not what it's sometimes you've got to, is it what you said? Is it how you said it? Or, what you've said you can forget. How you said you could probably, understand or get over. But the way you make someone feel, you'll never forget that. And the way he's making this guest person feel, and the way he's trying to represent things where he has no knowledge of, because he hasn't a lived experience of it. He hasn't lived in them shoes. He has suffered racism. It's just terrible. I think he's, and then he tries to divide Meghan and Harry, and he's saying, no, they're the same. It's nothing to do with that. It's not. It's the fact is you need to address the wider problem.
A difference. If it was said, perhaps in all innocence.
And if we look, ironically, Prince Harry even says, "Is there a wider problem? Tabloid racism, large part of why we left UK." It's across the screen, so it exists.
Right? And they just said, what colour baby might you have, without any suggestion of it being a concern or if it had dark skin. Would that in itself, just the question be racist?
That in itself is fine, but you have to think about how it feels from the receiving end, because what we're speculating is as to how that message.
I don't know how it's communicated. What I would think is, if it was done as a worry or concern,
we also have to take into consideration how it felt. The other thing that we also have to think about, and I've publicly said this on Twitter, Piers, I agree with you now that I feel that they should have named the person, because all it's led to is all of us asking loads of questions, and I personally am looking at the royal family as to which one could
who's the racist? Yeah.
Who's the racist? But again, we have to also just take a step back. Do you know how much courage it takes to actually speak about racism, to actually call it out? Because I've been in situations where
I like Piers to answer that. But he does. I don't think does he understand how much courage it takes to stand up, to speak your thing about racism or any situation.
I haven't called out every single bit of racism that's happened to me based on how I've been treated or how it was handled in the past.
Because you're worried about a backlash.
And you're also
Thank
worried
you,
about
Susanna.
And there will be people that will treat Harry and Meghan differently because they've spoken out.
Okay.
But this is the whole thing. We've got to get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And that's why it's important for me and you to have this conversation.
Right, but let's just not make it personal. It's fine.
It's not
you made it personal. But let's move on.
You know what? It's hard because you know what? We talk personally about.
It's not about you, Piers.
People on this show.
You're missing the point.
Our opinions on them, don't we? So actually, sometimes it does come back at you. We have to be,
It's fine. It's just the way it was done. We can disagree about that. Now, move on. Well, it's fine. I don't think people really care too much about you and me. Because
it's not about me and you, and I'm not here because.
Well, let's not talk about me and you then. Let's move on to the second part of their charge of racism. Meghan Markle said that there was a decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin colour. That is completely untrue. That's just not true. Now, the damaging effect of that, plus whatever may have been said to Harry, we don't know what it was or the context, we don't know who said it, but it was those two things that detonated as you know, a racially charged bomb at the palace, which is almost impossible for them to refute, because they don't talk in public about this kind of thing, and people aren't probably going to believe them even if they do know. But that's what concerns me.
So, Piers now is speaking for the Queen. That's very, very dangerous. He said there's a racial bomb in the palace, and they created it, and the Queen and the royal subjects can't defend themselves. To an extent where he wants to attack Meghan Markle, he's gone that far. That is very dangerous ground. Now, as a presenter, I would have thought that he needs to be more professional. It's about the interview, discussing the subject, and he's talking for people. He's gone beyond his status, and both in the subject and for the people. I don't think he cares. I think he uses the words not entitled. He doesn't not even think about mental health. But let's have a look and see what he says.
Is that the first part of that allegation, we don't know any of the details or who said it or how they said it, and the second one is completely untrue. Meghan just got it wrong. Archie hasn't been prevented from being a prince because of his skin colour, and that's been now believed by Americans on national television there, and that is damaging.
Again, do you know what? It's their lived experience. And
no, it's not true.
Well, look, Piers, it's their lived experience, and again, this is where the confusion comes in. Because how do you sometimes identify covert racism? It's actually quite hard because it's not there.
Apparently Piers can.
I know, but
Covert
Piers,
racism.
what you're saying is there are facts,
Right.
and what Alex said is there is an experience and a perception of those facts that you only appreciate when you're in that situation.
No, I'm
Thank you,
saying
Susanna.
on the first part, I agree. If it turns out, let me make it crystal clear where I stand on it.
Crystal clear, eh?
If it turns out that a senior member of the cabinet, a future king perhaps in this country, we don't know who it is. The persons have been cast as they won't say. They haven't nominated the Queen and British vote. So they've gone halfway, which I think is incredibly unfair on the ones who are
Let's
left.
see how far he
Say it's
goes.
a future king that said this in a derogatory way. We can't have a racist king.
We can't.
So that to me would be racism. But people said, but the second part of the charge, that Archie has been banned from being a prince because of his skin colour, is just untrue. It's nothing to do with racism. The fact itself on which he's based that claim is not true.
Except her perception appears to be that it might have
Well,
been.
it's like he's saying the sky is blue. My perception is it's raining. You can't muck around with facts. She got the facts wrong on that. It's been demonstrated today in every paper that fact is simply untrue. There's been no discrimination against Archie in terms of being
Demonstrated in every paper on the strapline says tabloid racism was the reason for them leaving the UK, and that's Prince Harry has said that, and he's a tabloid person. So sorry for stopping it again. It's just
the prince because of his skin colour. He's not entitled to the prince. This is the rules of the palace set 100 years ago.
The trouble is she's explaining her experience.
Exactly. She's explaining her experience of it, and you know what? We've not written her, so I
don't care what experience is, but that's your basic
It's still entitled to your to perception. You know,
Not about fact or not.
and that's also coming from the
But Alex, on that one, you're not entitled
Okay,
to.
but
I don't care about her feelings.
I'm not
If her
entitled.
feelings is wrong.
what concerns me more is the comment about the colour of the baby's
Right.
skin.
Right.
Okay, we all feel passionate about different things. Okay, we've not even spoken about the mental health and all
Well,
of
we're
that.
going to that.
We'll come to that. But it's really important that we have these conversations, because what I've noticed on Twitter, particularly over the last few days, is that this interview and what's happening with the royal
you're
family.
going to see Piers go even mad.
Huge. To the point where me and you were on here, we talk so passionately about it, and it's great.
I genuinely feel.
and I want to talk about it, and I do feel as though, of course, if we find out who it is, I'm sure you will be right behind me, and I'll be right behind you. Talking about how wrong it is and how
No question.
no question whatsoever. But what I find is that people don't always want to accept that it's a possibility that something like this is happening. And this is the thing with racism, right? Racism isn't always caught on camera. Racism isn't always a black man led on the floor with a white police officer's knee in his neck.
Yeah.
It comes in all different shapes and forms.
I
What I
totally
want to
agree
see
with you.
is the same energy that we had back in the summer right now.
Yes, but okay. But let me just put a little damper on this, right? One of the two charges of racism, perhaps the most incendiary, that actually he was being discriminated against, because the Queen decides all the titles. So what she was basically saying is the Queen's a racist who stopped Archie being a prince because of his skin colour. We know that is completely untrue. So
I don't know that the Queen's a racist. I would like to think that the Queen is not a racist.
Right.
I don't think she is a racist.
My point is this.
Okay, but he's obviously got a difficult relationship.
No, but Alex,
This is no ordinary
Alex.
family, Piers, because
I know.
as we heard from.
But Alex, do you accept on that point Meghan just got it wrong?
He's trying to
I'm-
manipulate.
Like I said,
I
I'm
guess
not an
now.
expert
Do you
on royal
accept?
protocols.
Right.
I am not an expert.
The experts
on-
who are have all said
They've
unanimously.
all said, but again, they said something different. Piers, I'm happy to listen to both sides, but they feel a certain way. They feel that Archie hasn't been given a title because of the colorism. So that's,
We know that's not true.
Well, hang on a moment. So Prince.
but you don't know that it's not true. Think about it.
Can we just talk about this particular fact?
If we think about the possibility that what they're saying is true and that they were worried about how dark Archie would be, it's also a possibility that they might not want him to be a prince, they might not want him to have a title. And the thing is, shock horror, these things happen in life. Unfortunately, this is the way it goes sometimes. Everyone's acting like they're fully surprised. I can't say that I'm fully surprised to hear these allegations, and it is important to realise that sometimes, you know what, we don't even know we've got these problems in our family. You might have an all-white family, and one day someone of colour walks in, and you find out. I know, but
Mr. Goddard yesterday said to me, wait until one of your sons marries a black woman.
And do you know what, Piers? I wouldn't be surprised.
That's very quick. He said that.
What part of your knowledge of me would think I wouldn't embrace and welcome?
Piers, but the thing is, I'm not saying.
The way you've handled the interview.
We have conversations on the show. We have conversations off the show. Okay, and I.
Would you? Like, that's a very, very, very important point. What, yeah, but the way you treat people isn't correct.
Feel that you are a racist. I'm sorry, and if people say to me, Piers Morgan, I will 100% say
I don't know racist,
because I'm judging my experience of you, and my experience of you is not that. Right. Okay. But that's why I just feel as though the stance that you were taking on it yesterday was so strong. I just feel that it was slightly clouded by the fact that you had an experience with her, and actually what this is really about is the fact that you don't like Meghan Markle, and that's okay. And you know what? And it's okay that Meghan Markle might not be perfect.
All that did,
it's
let me
okay
just stress
that it might be a little bit difficult.
I did not know her that well. All it did was inform me that she has a bit of a streak in her where she cuts people out of the life when she moves on. That's fine. She's entitled to do that. And she's done it to her whole family apart from her mum.
So this is just a clip, and he's gone back onto attacking Meghan Markle. He's missed the key subject of the discussion. He's tackled this wider area of racism. We've had Zaha stop going down on one knee because he's seeing it's not having an effect. People like this. The guest has said, look, you're not a racist. So he's trying to encourage him to say that. In my opinion, I think it's not about him being racist, but this action that he's done is racist because it's going against the topic. There's a clever quote, and I was speaking to Yusuf, my son, and he said, I haven't got a racist bone in my body, Piers Morgan. And Yusuf said, I would say he's got a racist spine, but I don't think he's got a spine at all. So, okay, his character, his presence in his interview, this is only a 14-minute clip about it, he obviously stormed off. I think he's not handled himself well. I think his representation on a national programme in the morning at 7 on here, and it's broadcast on YouTube, the way he displays himself has been terrible. He might think he's fighting in a war, or he might be doing this and that, but he could have been more empathetic, which he was not. I think he's had a habit of having white privilege. I mean, I don't want to say it, but it's something like white privilege, that he can say what he wants. And he's gone to the extent of speaking for the Queen in this. They can't handle it now because they've done this. Who are you to say that? There are protocols in place, there's everything in place, right? And now he's not on Good Morning Britain. I think that's one of the best moves they've done. You know, the issue about racism, yeah, it does exist. I've done some research on it myself. I think it needs to be addressed. I think we've got to look at situations like this, and we've got to say, right, okay, that's not really. How do we handle it? How do we make it better? As opposed to what Piers has done, he seems like he's got absolutely no education on it whatsoever. Anyway, that was just me, a little clip on that. Sorry for starting it so much, but I could have done it even more. There was so much incorrect stuff on it. Listen, in terms of mental health, please stay safe, stay happy, stay positive, have a free mind, and be open to stuff. And if anything comes around, take a step back, which past Piers should have done, and said, all right, okay, is that how you feel? All right. Yeah, and then he could have said, yeah, it caused a bit of damage, yeah, all right, yeah, no, I take your point on, yeah, okay, that he could be diplomatic about it, because he's not had that, especially if we've not had a lived experience about it. He's infuriated a lot of people. I'm not happy about what he said, really, really disappointed. Am I surprised? Absolutely not, no chance. But we've got to keep fighting, because there is good in the world, and they are good people. And they come in all colours, all shapes and all sizes. So we've got to carry that message on. So we stay happy, we try to keep thinking the best of people, and that will help us. Listen, nice seeing you, okay? Stay safe.